All over your camera.
Hello, everybody, and I'm told that my camera looks fuzzy. Let's see.
Ooh, it's not there. Your hand.
Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear. All right, there.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes this autofocus on this camera gets really fucked up, and I don't know why. How is everybody? Welcome to the
I'm
Friday
fine.
edition of Moohead Radio. With me is Bronk in merry old England. You
It
can be
is.
part of the program too. All you have to do is just go check out the YouTube, look at the show description. The link is there, and just
Be
zip right into the
yourself.
studio.
Yeah,
Yep.
be yourself. Let it all hang out. And
You think we're ever going to hear from Michelle again?
I don't know. I hope she's whatever she was having last Friday. I want some of that.
Yeah, my goodness. There's a couple things I want to talk about.
Cavaliers.
Yeah, we'll be talking about them too. Here's one thing that was interesting. When I
Really?
was 13 years old.
Yeah, way back in 1970, whatever.
Yeah, 1970.
Wow.
That was the year, the second technical year of existence of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They played at the Cleveland Arena. It was a horrible place,
Correct. Oh God,
and they were terrible. And
Yep.
John
I
Moore,
know I know where this is going, but I won't spoil it. I know where this is going.
you do.
Yeah, I know. There was a famous Cavalier who passed away.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Good for
Yes.
you. But yeah, John Warren went the wrong way and laid the ball in the wrong basket, and wrong way Warren was born. And I was a 13-year-old listening to a younger Joe Tate calling these games, and they were absolutely terrible. We had players like Luther Rackley and McCoy McLemore, and it was
Luther Rackley.
Yeah, I mean, tough times. And in 1970, along came Bobby Bingo Smith, who later became part of Cleveland folklore. A lot of people in the league wouldn't even recognize him because the Cavaliers didn't really have what you would call stars. Austin Carr was gonna be a star, but my knee,
my shoulder.
Yeah, that was the end of him. And the Miracle of Richfield team, I was listening during that season by the time I was 17 years old. And the whole notion, Bobby Smith made an incredible 28-foot shot at the buzzer to win one game.
Yeah.
Sent up an air ball and another that Jimmy Clemens caught in the air underneath the basket and flipped it over his shoulder into the basket at the buzzer. And then, of course, Dick Snyder in his running bank shot, and the hold on for dear life, of watching now Phil Chenier. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, missed the shot from the corner, and the two putbacks didn't go in. And people ran out on the courts and tore the baskets off the stanchions. Honest to God, it was wild time. Bobby Bingo Smith passed away at the age of 77. And, we all walk away with different memories, but I was 13 and I never once thought of thinking that Bobby Smith was 24 when I was 13.
No, we thought he was an adult.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he was like, I thought he was like 40 years old or something.
Yeah, I mean, it really is remarkable. And so now he's 77.
You're right. That's a good point.
I'm 66. And so it goes. So it's kind of a thing that, it just hit me. It was like, wow. When I was 13-year-old, I didn't sit there and think to myself, well, he's just 11 years older than I am. I mean, he was like an adult, man.
Yeah, he was old, man.
And
you know what famous actor passed away as well?
Who? You obviously don't either.
Oh, I do.
What was he in?
The Shaft was probably his most famous.
Richard Roundtree.
Richard Roundtree, yes.
Wow. How old was Richard Roundtree?
I'm going to say older than Bingo Smith, but I'm going to look it up. But
No one
yes,
understood him but his woman,
yeah,
John Shaft.
we're talking about John Shaft.
So, Bobby Smith, number forever in the rafters, and gonna miss him.
81.
Yep,
81.
81 for Richard Roundtree. Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
81.
yeah, so it was really. I wanted to start out by passing my condolences and just the memories of a young guy who I loved Joe Tate because he was a radio guy, and at 13 I was already into that stuff. I was a radio junkie. The other thing I want to talk about is something. If you really go back a long way with Moohead Radio, it's been over 20
It's a
years.
long way. Yeah.
And the one thing that Mr. Moohead always, and I talk of him in third person because Mr.
Yes,
Moohead,
he's a character.
he is a character. And
He is a character.
he started out in a rural barn in Vermont. And he basically sneaked an antenna into the barn and was broadcasting Moohead Radio, the pirated cow radio station. That's how it all began, all the way back when. And he thought he was going to become famous, Mr. Moohead did, because it was like he was the first cow on the internet, right?
Yeah.
And it never came to pass. We all know that.
Oh.
But he always lived for the day when somebody would recognize him.
Oh my God, has it happened?
Here's the story. So my friend and I are out and about, and I had to pick up a couple of bottles of salad dressing.
As you do, you need condiments. If you're in America, you got to have condiments.
And if you don't want to get the girl pregnant.
Yeah,
so,
too.
Yeah. And so, you can look at me through the years and watch lost weight, gained weight. I'm down 27 pounds from where I was when I first came to Ohio here back in June.
Wow.
And it's working, man. But I'm eating a lot of salads and eating, more vegetable matter and less cake and pie. No, I'm not a cake and pie person. No. But, being so I was getting salad dressing, right? And so I like farm markets. Right?
Okay.
And there's a farm market called Bauman's Orchards in Rittman, Ohio. And I like to go out into more of the country area because that's where you find some really nice, markets. And this place has the best, really, really good bottled. It's balsamic walnut blue cheese salad dressing. It's really good.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I grabbed myself 2 bottles. My friend's there with me. He got himself
dangerously.
He got himself a chef knife. They were selling knives in there too.
Wow.
And so I put the bottles down. He goes, "That's all for you. It's the 2 bottles." I go, "Yep, that'll do her." And the guy behind the counter was about 19, 20 years old. Didn't look like he was exactly a regular as far as manning the till up front of the store. And he looks at me and he's staring at me real funny. He goes, "You look familiar." Wow. And I go, "Oh," I said, "I don't know." I don't know what to say. And he goes, "But it's not just that, it's your voice too."
Yeah.
All of a sudden, my friend gasps because he's known me since I started. He and I go back all the way to the beginning of the show. And he goes, he made this audible gasp. And so I looked at him and I said, "So like maybe something to do with the Cleveland Browns?" He goes, "You're the podcast guy. You're the Browns podcast guy." So this face for radio, when you have a face that looks like this, and what happens is people are on YouTube watching the shows that are actually watched by a lot of people, but it will make little suggestions on the side of the screen.
It will.
And I mean,
you'll pop up on there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, and for how many years have I popped up there? And this guy probably got sick of, actually seeing it out of the corner of his eyes, and he clicked on it. And so, yeah. So for the first time in 20 years, absolutely, somebody recognized me. So Mr. Moohead's dream has come true.
Did you like sign an autograph for him, like Mr.
No,
Moohead with a
not
big
at all.
cow
So
or something?
I just want to give a shout out to the guy at the cash register at Bauman's Orchard Store in Rittman, Ohio. Thank you. You made a cow a very happy cow.
Wow.
And it's funny because the thing that came into my head was Jim Carrey. So there is a chance. It's like, stop and think for a minute. Now, I don't want to talk about this for too long, but stop and think.
Sure. Okay.
The show that had the most single one-time viewership in the history of this channel was 1500 Rounds Post-Game Show. And we've had a lot of things between 1,000 and 1,500. But like I always say, it's a boutique podcast, right?
Yeah.
So what are the odds that a person would be in Rittman, Ohio, at the exact moment that I was buying 2 bottles of salad dressing? And
Wow.
he would be the one who would be there in an unpopulated area.
Sure.
And he would be the one who would recognize it, knowing that the most views that one individual program had was 1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, stop and think about it. And so there is a chance. What I'm telling people is, whatever it is in your life that you think is absolutely unattainable, don't be so sure, because there is always a chance. Always. All right. So that was a fun story.
So did you buy a lottery ticket off the guy too, or
no? I don't press my luck. But I mean, yeah, there are people who win, the big lotteries and the super lotteries, and
they never bought a ticket in their life.
Powerball. No. Jews don't do that. Is that?
Oh, but I don't know whether I've told you this story before, but to conceptualize the odds of winning the lottery jackpot, imagine you have in front of you a book that contains the names of every single person living in America, all 350 million people.
Yeah.
And you've got a pin. And you open up that book, and your pin lands on a person who was at one time president of the United States.
Yeah.
That is your odds of winning the lottery.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not kidding. I'm not making this up.
But somebody always wins eventually.
Somebody wins.
So anything can happen. So what I would tell you, something more of substance, is if you're fighting health problems, don't give up. Yeah. Things can happen that are out of the realm of statistics. True. And you do the best you can with what you have, but you never know. You might catch a lucky break. Now, I'm having a running conversation with a person on Twitter who was praising Baker Mayfield. If you watched the
they
game,
get beat last night.
yeah, they lost 24-18, and wasn't really a very good game, to be very honest with you. Okay. But there was a play in the game where the snap was snapped way too hard. Hi, Tony. How you doing?
I was going to ask, did the guy immediately hand you plays that he wrote down on a napkin?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So at any rate, the ball was snapped too high and fast and hard, and it went by Baker Mayfield off his hands.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield went backward, and the ball fortuitously bounced back up into his hands. In other words, he didn't dive on the football. He actually picked it up. And in the same motion that he picked it up, he threw the ball without even having a proper grip on the ball, threw it, and it wobbled out of bounds, right?
Okay.
And the guy was saying that was such a smart play. And, I'm saying, to what length will these people
praise
lick his asshole?
That's literally Baker Mayfield's and any quarterback's job, is to try to do something like that.
But let me explain something to you. He was in the pocket. The ball, because he was in the shotgun. The ball was snapped over his head.
Right.
He picked it up and in one motion threw it out of bounds. The ball did not get to the line of scrimmage, and he was in the pocket.
Unlucky.
And they did not call intentional grounding.
They didn't.
Nope, they didn't call it. I mean, it was like, wow. All right.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it didn't bother me one way or the other. I could care less what happened in that game. But this guy's saying what a great play it was. And I reminded him, it's like, that was grounding. And he goes, well, who cares? His grounding was a smart play because he did what he did and he took the chance they wouldn't call it. And I'm like, all right, look, all I'm asking, I didn't comment as to whether it was a smart play or not. It's like, was it grounding or wasn't it? And he goes, yeah, but nobody cares about that. So I just said, right, whatever. Whatever.
Well, literally, that's any quarterback's job is to try to, prevent a massive loss by throwing the ball out of bounds. I mean,
Baker Mayfield had scored 10 points the whole game. He threw one touchdown pass to Godwin, which was really a very interesting play where he went back quickly in the red zone. Like he was like on the 6-yard line or whatever.
Okay.
And he half clutched and then threw it, and he pinpointed it, and it was a perfect pass, perfect catch.
Yeah,
it was really
he's
very, very
Yeah.
impressive. That was a very impressive play. But that was the 10th point, and it stayed that way until the fourth quarter. All right.
Okay.
With the score 24-10, he took the team 92 yards in 17 plays.
Oh, God.
I mean,
how tedious must that have been?
Well, 3 penalties went to their favor that kept them going. Okay.
Kept them going. Oh, okay.
Which makes you wonder what the betting line on the
time.
game was. Maybe somebody can, find out.
Probably 8.5 or something.
Yeah. Did the fact that they got from 14 to 6 points.
It's probably 8.5.
Somebody look up what the betting odds were in that game as far as, the spread.
At close, the Bills were 9.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
No.
You're not serious.
No, I'm not kidding you.
He's being serious is what he means. 9.5.
Actually, that's true. Hilarious. Are you? Somebody else look it up. Not that I don't trust Tony, but I don't trust Tony.
So again, it's the Bills winning but losing to the spread. Which bookies always love it when the favorite wins but lose to the spread because that's how they make their most amount of money. Because
absolutely
bet on the favorites.
So all these penalties were called, racked up in the 17 plays,
and
92 yards.
Time, meaningless touchdown fucks over more people than otherwise.
And basically ended up seeing the ball one more time for 4 plays and 24 yards, and the game ended, right? And they lost.
Wow.
18 points doesn't win football games.
Very rarely.
Yeah. So that's that.
Now Tampa was plus 10 according to Yahoo.
Yeah, it'll probably change during the game. I mean, but it's hard to retroactively go back and see, what it was. But
now here's something else I wanted to share before we start talking about this week's opponent, and that is career records and Gino Smith's career record in games played 57. He's 26-31 as a starting quarterback. All right,
26-31. That's like 45%, maybe.
45%, and a 63.4% completion percentage. But here's the thing that I find interesting: in 57 games, 68 touchdowns. All right.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Is it? Let's stop and take a look. This year, he's 4-2, just like we are. All right.
Yeah.
He's completed 68.6% of his passes, which by his standards is better than his career average. He's thrown for 1,391 yards. All right. So in 6 games, you can figure it out. It's somewhere around 220 yards a game. But only 7 touchdowns, but only 4 interceptions. So 6 games, 7 touchdowns. He averages producing a touchdown.
One.
All right.
1 minute.
That has been the rap on Gino Smith. He is a game manager. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
And he doesn't put up a tremendous amount of points. And it's one of the reasons why he's positively Jacoby Brissett-esque.
Sure.
And except he's more athletic than Jacoby is. But it's the same problem. And he's 33 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing against Gino Smith. 4-2 record's a 4-2 record. But career-wise, it's not so different than what you see with Jacoby Brissett. And not so different than what you're going to see with Baker Mayfield. That's how I tie it all together. I don't have anything against Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's a good backup quarterback. He came out as a number 1 pick, so he's underachieved. But how many times does that happen? Anytime someone's picked number 1 and doesn't become great, they underachieve. So Baker Mayfield's a good backup quarterback. And so is Gino Smith, really a good backup quarterback. And people are saying, the Browns never made the call to the Commanders, so they're not going to get Jacoby Brissett. I would say the same thing about Jacoby Brissett. He's not a starter, but he's a good backup quarterback. Now, I'd rather have him. Joshua Dobbs is now 1-6, and I really don't know. I'd rather have Jacoby Brissett than Joshua Dobbs.
Yeah, I think any sensible person would probably agree with you.
But I'm not going to tell you that either of those players would rescue the Cleveland Browns from the situation that they're in. But as we learn more and more about Deshaun Watson, it could be a long time, folks.
Yeah, the thing about Gino Smith was he was one of those guys that came out of West Virginia, 13 some years ago, back when that was sort of like, Louisville was coming on, and those sort of mid-tier big schools were producing, can I say, black quarterbacks at the time, like Teddy Bridgewater and all that lot. And he was part of that crop. And they've all been serviceable, decent NFL players that all lit it up during their college careers. I don't know whether he still has records at West Virginia, but
look, it's a different game. College football, you have to remember, the windows are much wider, getting the ball to your wide receivers.
Easier game, isn't it?
Yeah. And the speed differential, if you're on a major college football team and you're playing teams like Fordham or Furman or
Citadel.
the Citadel, yeah. It really, and especially now, that NIL only came into effect to help the big conferences, right? Correct, and now you're seeing the consolidation. So all the good schools going where the money is. And, the fact is that you can run up numbers that are really large. I remember one guy, I forget his name, who had broken all the records at Portland State. You know what?
Oh God, yeah.
I forget the guy's name.
That hurts. That's painful because I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to.
It didn't really pan out in the pros.
No, he didn't.
But if you have such a superior team that against the competition that you're playing, it isn't so hard to run up numbers. And we don't even have to go that far. We can just look at somebody like David Klingler in Houston, the University of Houston, and before he came to the Bengals. You can look at players who had Akili Smith is another one, major college team around him. And they were playing teams that were of lesser caliber. And,
I believe you're referring to Neil Lomax.
Yeah, that's right. Neil Lomax. He went to the Cardinals.
Neil Lomax.
He went to the Cardinals. Yeah.
He's our age. He was born in February 1959. So, he was from 40 years ago.
And David Talevsky is right. The staff that he has, that Geno Smith has to work with in Seattle, has put him to better use than what he had with the Jets. But nobody does shit with the Jets.
Correct.
Let's be honest. And nobody does shit with the Browns either. Let's be honest about that, too. All right. So, but these are things to think of. Here's another thing. Our opponent has a real strength defensively.
Yeah.
And that strength is that they're only giving up 86 yards per game on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
But their strength is that you can't run around them. And a lot of teams with the spread offenses and with a lot of these zone read kinds of things like to go around the ends. So does Kevin Stefanski. And the average, and if they have linebackers who cover that area, they're very fast, physical outside, but they're outweighed by 50 pounds average directly against the Browns' offensive line. So,
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. And again, if you start seeing Stefanski calling sweeps, you're going to shake your big cow head.
Elijah Moore is going to get dropped for an 8-yard loss every time they run that fucking play that they love to run.
This is a game you're going to have to attack them right up the gut. I mean, it's interesting because Jerome Ford practiced today, and the people who saw him practice,
I thought he was dead.
No, I mean, he was going to miss 1 to 2 weeks with an ankle sprain. Now, obviously, if they said 1 to 2 weeks, it was not a bad high ankle sprain. Yeah. All right. But it was a high ankle sprain. That was what they said. And what I would tell you is that he's going to play some, and Kareem Hunt's going to play some, and Strong will play some. But they're going to have to live inside the tackles.
Sure.
And the only way, and I mean this seriously, the only way that the Browns even have a chance in this football game is if they do that and run the clock.
Yeah.
If they grind out first downs and keep the scoring down and keep the game into the high teens, low 20s, and the defense could make a play or two, there's that. But other than that, here's something to think about that you're not really hearing on the rest of, the media that you're watching. It isn't that PJ Walker is starting. It's that there's film on him now.
Correct.
There is no element of surprise with PJ Walker.
No, unfortunately not.
Everybody knows what he is. They know what he does under pressure. He makes mistakes and he turns the ball over.
And what they're going to do is they're going to bait him because they're going to sit on our favorite routes to Stefanski that everybody knows that he calls. And there's going to be strong safeties or linebackers waiting to jump in front of our receivers and go for pick sixes. So if that's, that's what's going to happen.
I'll tell you what I would do. And you're going to say I'm crazy, and everyone's going to say I'm crazy.
You're a crazy cow.
PJ Walker should go back and run some quarterback draws.
Yeah. Yeah.
My feeling is they're going to come at him, and he's going to get rid of the ball to the first read, and somebody's going to jump the pattern, and that's going to be that.
Yep.
And what does it matter whether PJ Walker's in the game or if DTR's in the game? Honest to God. I mean, DTR is like the plague now. He's like fucking bubonic plague. I've never seen somebody go from being considered, wow, what a steal. What a steal in the 5th round. We stole this guy. Persona non grata. Just one game. It's like
one game, 1/2.
I don't understand. They gave Deshaun Kaiser a lot more rope than that. What's the story?
They gave him a whole fucking year.
Did he fuck D. Haslam? What did he do?
I don't know.
But whatever the hell it is,
somebody's fucking D. Haslam.
Somebody has to. I guess I don't understand. I mean, it's like DTR was thrown into a lion's den, and it's like all of a sudden it was like, all the things they liked about him, now you're never hearing about him at all. And this is very typical of Browns ownership. You want to talk about, we have the players' backs. No, they don't.
No,
they don't. Nobody has protected him. They've just literally, he's like a leper.
Yeah.
I've never seen this before in my life. So, but to me, it doesn't matter. scrambling quarterback, if PJ Walker gets hurt, put DTR in. What difference does it make? You're not going to win this game. Do you know how hard it is just playing in Seattle?
Oh, they're not going to be able to hear anything. It's not like the fucking Colts stadium where
And they're 4-2 and they're playing for something, and it's not because we're the New York Jets, we're going to upset somebody or.
And the thing is, the NFL likes them more than they like Cleveland, so the word will be out amongst the referees to give 50-50 calls in Seattle's favor. So we're going to be playing against the 12th man and the referees, and we got a noodle-armed quarterback, and we're going to get killed, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and what the only thing that they can do is run the ball hard right at them, eke out first downs, and maybe, just maybe, you can catch them on a fly pattern. You know what I mean? Maybe you can catch them off balance that way, or by running quarterback, draws and scrambling.
Yeah, Tyrod tailoring them to death.
Yeah. It eats up the clock, and it forces their defensive men. If they're going to stick with their man, that means there's 8 yards in front of him that he can run. Run, Forrest.
Yeah, why is it that Tyrod Taylor's not mentioned in bringing ex-Browns quarterbacks back? I think he's actually on the Commanders or somewhere, isn't he? Tony would know.
No, that's where Jacoby Brissett is.
Tyrod is the backup for the Giants.
The Giants, okay. NFC East, all right. It's close enough.
And Christopher Milton, I have a feeling.
Irene Cara.
It's worth believing. I have a feeling of dread about this game.
Yeah.
I think that it isn't going to just be a loss. It's going to be a fatalistic loss.
An ass rape.
I mean, 4-2, and you're like, hey, we're in this. And, well, that's right. It's like what Topaz would say to the 49ers. No. They were the greatest 5-0 team, and now twice in a row they've come out and laid an egg.
Well, that's the other thing about the NFL. They'll want Seattle to be right on the 49ers' ass to make that division race close and exciting for the bettors.
Brock Purdy had a concussion. No. Yeah. So
I think Mr. Forehead's their backup, isn't he?
I don't know. I don't know whether he's playing or
Sam
not.
Darnold. Yes, it's Sam Darnold.
Mr. Forehead.
Turn the windshield wipers off. My feeling about, the Brock Purdy thing, he's good, accurate throwing quarterback. But you see what another team's doing on film, and, and then suddenly, Jim Schwartz comes up with a counter strategy. Everybody's watching that, man.
Yeah.
That's like Boy George outing you.
Yeah.
It's like getting outed, man. And you can't deny it. So the next team comes up, and suddenly the 49ers aren't scoring. And it's like, wow, I wonder what they saw. Could it be that Kyle Shanahan's not as much of a genius as people were saying? I don't know. And you know something, David? That's the way I look at it too. 5-3. If you come back the next week, problem is we've got two big games. We've got a Ravens game and a Steelers game, and
well, I mean, if we don't win those, then why are we even here talking about it?
Right. I mean, so I don't know if there's any game that you say, well, I think this wouldn't be a bad loss. I think they're all bad losses.
Well, let me further elaborate. Losing an away game to a non-conference opponent is probably the best loss you could possibly have. If you're going to make your losses, lose out of your conference away, lose those games.
It's incredible. The Browns defense had 4 takeaways last week, Yeah,
4 takeaways.
Gave away yardage by the buckets to
Yeah.
a Colts team that
Isn't very good.
well, and had not shown the proclivity to do that in their previous games.
Yeah.
And we'll see how the Colts do moving forward. But how do you give up 38 points when your defense gets 4 turnovers for you? And that's the reason we scored 39 points, because PJ Walker didn't throw a touchdown pass. You're not going to win that way. It's that is not sustainable in any way, shape, or form. The only way the Browns even have a chance to win is by eating up clock and keeping the game close. And I have no faith in PJ Walker. Why the Browns aren't looking for another quarterback, I have no idea. Why they wouldn't make an offer for Jacoby Brissett, I cannot tell you. This notion that, Deshaun could come back at any time.
No.
Okay, now I'm going to say something that it's not that I'm happy to say it, but when they tell you the injury that you have, that you can do physical therapy, all right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something about my knee
Physical
replacement.
therapy. Okay.
When I wrecked my bike up in Carolina, and I ended up tearing what was left of my knee.
Tricycle, yes.
But when I went back to Florida, they put me in a physical therapy regimen. I said, why in the fuck am I doing physical therapy when I have no ACL in my knee? I have no cartilage in my knee. I just want a fucking knee replacement. And what they said to me was, think of this as physical therapy pre-knee replacement. That's right.
No.
Yeah, they said this is a 6 to 8 week thing. That's what they said originally, 4 to 6 weeks. But it could be more, could be less. But what they aren't talking about is that, so he's still throwing the ball. So they want to keep something going and strength factor there without really putting a strain on it. But you're counting the weeks until they say, well, we gave it a shot non-surgically, but got to go under the knife. I would say right now it's 50-50.
I think he's done for the year myself.
Well, I think it's 50-50. And it either comes around with physical therapy or it doesn't. But the way they look at it is, well, you can't hurt by strengthening the area prior to surgery.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they told us there was no complete tear. So what they would be fixing in there, I don't know. But, suddenly something's going to show up on, the CAT scan or MRI. This is, I guess, the way it goes. But the way the Browns win also is the defense has to come forward and play a better game than they did against the Colts. Now they need the takeaways without the busted coverages. So that's the only way it's going to happen. That's right, David. You have the Jaguars at the Steelers, and you want to talk about something funny. I was reading something, and it was a guy named Jerry Dulac, and he works for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette.
Okay.
And, I'm looking at his predictions,
Yeah.
And he, of course, picks the Steelers to win.
Sure.
All right. And he said Steelers are going to win 20-17. That's going to be the way it goes. Steelers are 4-2. Jaguars are 5-2. Mm-hmm. And it's in Pittsburgh, so they're going to win.
They'll get the calls, and yep.
And I'm looking around at who's picking who, and then it comes down to the Browns game, and of course the guy picks Seattle, right? Because he hates Cleveland. Then I'm looking at the Cleveland guy who, I want to. Let's see if I can come up with the name. Tim Bielik. Is that his name?
No idea.
Yep. Tim Bielik's picking the games at Cleveland.com. And, he's picking the Jaguars to beat the Steelers. All right.
Okay.
Right. But then the very next game he's talking about is the Browns at Seattle. And he is picking the Seahawks. So at least he has some credibility. Fucking Steelers fans. I mean, what a bunch of wieners.
Wiener. Now that's a word I haven't heard for a while.
God almighty.
That's a good one for them. Yeah.
The problem the Browns are going to have is they can't get Amari Cooper open. They can't get anybody open. Donovan Peoples-Jones doesn't even play for the Browns anymore. The thing that's so funny, they talk about Deshaun Watson. Do you really want to play? That's what I'm asking about Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Peoples-Jones. That's the one you want to ask about. And Jedrick Wills.
Doesn't want to return punts. He doesn't want to catch a lot of punts. I don't know what he's doing out there. He looks like he's trying not to get hurt.
He's trying not to get hurt.
In his contract year, so we can go someplace else. That's what it looks like to me.
Oh,
and
totally.
why we aren't replacing him, now Cedric Tillman, I haven't heard anything about since that hip injury.
Dead. I think he's dead. I think he's on IR or something. Somebody look it up in the chat room that has access, but I think Tillman's dead.
Yeah, well, he hurt a hip, and I haven't heard anything about him since. But boy, I would have hoped that with this being DPJ's final year in Cleveland, they would work Tillman in to see what we had there. But so far, injury, I guess, has prevented that from happening. And they have the targets. They got Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. Jeez.
They got Tyler Lockett.
Yeah.
They have some guys who could hurt you. And, it's going to be a very difficult situation for the Browns. Very difficult. And, people saying, trade for Dalvin Cook or, it's like, no. No, yeah. I mean, at this point, we are what we are. And obviously the organization is willing to lose because they're not getting a backup quarterback. Because if they got a backup quarterback like Jacoby Brissett and paid out for it, that would be acknowledging that they really don't expect Deshaun Watson to come back, which would make them liars all along. But I mean, why would that surprise us?
They would lose face if they got in a proper backup quarterback.
Jimmy Haslam's a liar, for God's sakes.
And they would rather run the team through the mill and have us be 5-12 than lose face.
Yeah,
it's in Pittsburgh. Come on, Steelers win in Pittsburgh. It's only when the full moon's out that they lose. There is the odd game they lose in Pittsburgh.
So I mean, we are going to wait until 4:05 game start on Sunday to find out exactly who's playing for the Browns. The question now is Jedrick Wills and his famed ankle, the ankle that never goes away.
My ankle.
Right. I've never seen a guy with injured ankles like him. I mean, what the hell? Get him in some ballerina shoes and strengthen his fucking, I don't know what to do with this guy, but you're going to see James Hudson III probably, because the word was from Mary Kay Cabbagehead when the press was talking to Jedrick Wills that he's usually very talkative. He didn't want to talk at all to him about the ankle. That means what it means is that he won't play hurt. It's the same thing as last year. That guy, I think I've run out of patience with Jedrick Wills.
Yeah.
When you see how quickly DeJuan Jones has developed, then what's the problem with Jedrick Wills? The answer is desire.
Yeah, I mean, oh dear. I'll take back what I was going to say, but anyway.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt will play. All right. We're really, although his thigh is still bothering him.
My thigh.
Yeah. There are still questions about who's going to play this game. There are a couple of questionable people, and not sure what the story is with these folks.
Wow.
As far as and I'm just what other people are saying. Pete Prisco at CBS. I mean, everybody has a different take on this game. and honestly, it's been a very unpredictable season, which the NFL likes. Although it's predictable, it's predictable.
Predictably unpredictable. Yeah.
No, it's predictable in the sense that the gambler company,
The gamblers,
money pigs get their money.
Win. Yeah, they get their money.
You know, Prisco is picking the Jaguars over the Steelers, by the way, and he's picking the Browns over the Seahawks 23-16. But you'll soon realize that he is not in the majority. And that's too bad. Because I think those people are right. Here's Fan Nation, sportsillustrated.com. The Bengals 28-19 over the 49ers. These are just little things I'm kind of looking at here.
Yeah.
They're saying the Seahawks 37, the Browns 17.
Well, that's pretty much what I was going to say.
I mean, they have the same feeling of dread that I'm having.
No, that might as well be my prediction. I'm going to say Seahawks by 20, and our great kicker, the English actor, and Anthony Hopkins will get 6 field goals, and we'll lose 37-18.
And then sportingnews.com is picking the Browns to win 27-24. I don't know how we get 27 points, but I don't know how we got 39 last week. So you're asking the wrong guy. NFL.com has let's see if I can get. We have a bunch of people for NFL.com.
What does Cynthia Freeland, the computer geek hotbird, say?
I don't know. NFL.com, we have
NFL.com.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people all picking the Seahawks. Get the scores. 23-18, 24-16, 20-16, 20-12, 21-16. I'm telling you, if the game is that close, shame on Seattle.
Yeah.
Because they've got all the film they need on P.J. Watson. So Watson, this is P.J. Walker. I want
Sean
Watson,
Walker.
I want Watson to play so badly, even if he has one of his arms removed.
Wow.
P.J. Walker is just not a starting quarterback. My God.
No. He's a nice guy, but anyway.
So the other, I'm trying to think of the other player who Marquise Goodwin has a back issue. He's questionable. And Sione Takitaki has a hamstring. Not sure what's going on there. Now, Wills did practice, and so did Ford. But with Wills, come game time, I'm going to say he ain't going to make it. Yeah. The Browns also signed John Kelly Jr., a guy who's been buzzing around the organization.
Oh, God. Preseason Hall of Famer, he is. He should be preseason Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I love John Kelly Jr. He's the Armand Smith of this generation.
I guess. The last thing I want to talk about today, first of all, I wanted to say that I was sorry. Stipe Miocic lost his title opportunity when John Jones pulled out because of a torn pec muscle. So what was supposed to happen November the 11th, which Stipe was really getting ready for, not going to happen. So they pulled him off the card completely. That whole card kind of went down to hell in a handbasket. The other thing I want to talk about is the Cavaliers playing tonight, their home opener.
Yeah, Oklahoma City. What's up with them?
Well, they beat the tar so badly out of the Chicago Bulls. Can you believe this?
How bad was it?
That after the first game, that's the first game of the season for the Bulls, right?
Yeah.
They lost 124-104 at home. They lost by 20 at home. The players called a team-only meeting.
No, not the dreaded team-only meeting at the end of October.
First game of the year.
That's drastic.
But,
oh, no.
What is his name? Gilgeous Alexander. He's the...
Gilgamesh or whatever.
Yeah, he scored 31 points, and we'll see what happens. The Cavaliers were very fortunate to get out of Brooklyn with a
God.
win.
You know what? I didn't see the whole game, but I actually woke up and got on and saw the last 3 minutes of the game at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was glad I did. But they
Yeah.
should have lost that game. They
What?
should have definitely. I mean, Brooklyn. Why don't the national media go on about how New York teams choke when they should really win games? But they don't, do they?
No, I mean that they pulled up by 6 points at the end of the game. It looked like all was over with, and then all of a sudden, Donovan Mitchell steals the ball at halftime and dunks it at the other end, and But a series of events, bad possessions for the Nets, and the end of the game. I mean, the play was set up so that Max Strus would take the final shot. And but the way the play ran out was that somebody ran at Strus, and so it was up to Mitchell to take his man on one-on-one. And I believe maybe it was Royce O'Neal. I'm not sure which guy was guarding on the play, who was guarding Donovan Mitchell, but he flopped.
Yeah.
I mean, Mitchell went forward like he was going to go to the hoop and tie the game up.
I was watching the Yes Network, and they were insisting that, well, I don't know, Mitchell might have extended his arm, and that could have been a charge, and that could have been...
there was nothing like that. He just fell to the ground. The funny thing is they had nailed Darius Garland earlier in the game for a flop call, which is now a free throw.
Wow.
And
is that the rule?
And that's a new rule that when they feel like it's a flop, then it's a penalty. They get to take a free throw. And they called it against Darius Garland. And I'll be honest with you, it was a flop. Darius Garland threw his head back. He did the whole, I just got hit by a combine. I've had several extremities cut off kind of flop. The Anderson Varejao flop,
Okay.
That's why he always had that hair, because he could just...
Yeah, because he was Brazilian. No, I mean...
I whip my hair in the wind. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a Brazilian Neymar, soccer reference here, rolling around on the ground, holding your leg,
Right, exactly. Yep. And so they want to put an end to the flopping, and so they called it in a meaningless part of the game. But in that part of the game, they weren't going to call that a flop. And, of course, Donovan Mitchell pulls up and he hits the three, right? Because there's nobody guarding him. So then the Nets have a chance to win the game.
They do.
And so what the hell? You can't tell me that Jacques Vaughn drew that up.
Wow. Yeah, that was
I think he threw it up after the game.
Wow.
But I mean, and there's the guy who, Cam, what's his last? They have a Cam Johnson and a Cam.
I don't know.
But the guy who threw up 35, 36 points in the game.
Oh, yeah. He was like a bench guy. And then they were going on about the Yes Network, like how he was the biggest bench guy that ever played, in an opening game.
He had 3 40-plus point games last year coming, in the very beginning when they first brought him up. And, he went off like a firecracker against the Cavaliers. But they throw the ball in bounds, and he just brain farts. He's way away from the basket, and he stops. It's like, and it's like, why aren't you giving the ball to Bridges? You only need a 2 here. You're down by 1 point.
Yeah.
And they had like 10, 11 seconds.
They had enough time to win.
You run a down screen, and you bring Mikal Bridges across, and he shoots that shot of his. He's their best offensive player. And instead, he just holds the ball. Cam's out there, and I'm not remembering his last name because there's 2 of them on the team, and I know Cam Johnson's the guy who came from Phoenix. And he stood there, and then he dribbles the ball, and he tries to shoot an off-balance 3 over Evan Mobley.
Which is never going to work, my friend.
I mean, ball game. I'm just sitting there going, wow. You want to talk about the anticlimax for the fans in Brooklyn? There's one question I wanted to ask after that game. And besides, who the hell drew that last play up? And
Cam Thomas.
That was a Cam Thomas.
Thomas.
Son of a bitch. It was a hero ball play, and there's no place in that. No matter how good a game you've had, you don't do that. I mean,
36 points in that game.
Bridges was like an all-star player last year.
Correct,
And he's a high percentage shooter. And he also was like a 90+% free throw shooter if he draws the foul. You only need 1 point. What are you doing? But looking at that game in its entirety, I know Jacques Vaughn didn't call the play. It was a disappointment. But what is Ben Simmons doing on the floor? Why is he even in the league? I mean,
oh no, he had 4 points in 23 minutes.
It's a disaster, and they're trying to justify it as, oh, he's a defensive player. He's a laconic guy, SAT word, who doesn't really have any real interest in shooting the basketball because he can't, because he never worked hard enough to develop a shot. And he passed up shots under the basket to throw the ball to somebody else. And if they would have gotten even the smallest amount of help from him, would have won the basketball game.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't get it. I mean, and I've watched this guy play, and why people want to keep giving this guy an opportunity. He's a head case, man. He's got emotional problems.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing I thought of is, he's out there on the floor all these minutes and he's not doing nothing. And the only shots he flipped up, he made one shot the whole game, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, the question I want to ask, because you watched the whole game, I saw the last 3 minutes, was what was our bench guys like? Niang and
Niang is out of shape. All right. I'm just going to come right out and say out of shape.
Because it looked like he got killed on the second team looking at the stats.
Well, what was his minus number?
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah.
-9.
Yeah. I mean,
which was the lowest on the team.
Yeah. And the reason is, if he's not putting the ball in from the outside, and there was a crazy sequence where he missed a three, the ball bounced so far off the rim, it came right back to him. He stepped behind the arc a second time, missed a second one. It came back to him a third time, and it's like, no! And he didn't. No! He passed the ball. But no, he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Strus, on the other hand, hit 7 of 13.
7 threes. Yeah.
Yeah. And he had a big game. But the problem with Niang is if he's not putting the ball in the hole, he can't do anything else, really. He's not in physical condition. Look at his body. It doesn't take much to figure that out. So that was the biggest disappointment to me. We need another guy on the floor. The other one who was terrible was Karis LeVert. He was just chucking balls up that weren't even coming close. It was like something he just developed crab claws.
Oh, God. He was 4 of 17.
Yeah.
That's horrific.
And shots, he would drive into the paint, shoot a fadeaway, air. Didn't even get to the rim. I don't know what was up. Yeah, he just had a bad day.
17.
Yeah.
Well, he can really have bad days.
Yeah, we know that.
That's like 2 years.
But he had such a good preseason. Everyone was saying, he's a changed man. Well, he wasn't a changed man last game. But, we give these people a chance. How many points did Isaac Okoro score?
Oh, let me look. It wasn't that many.
What, 14? Which for him
it was 18. 18 which is a lot
points.
For him.
That's a lot for him.
A lot for him, yeah.
Going to the basket. He went to the basket a couple times, hit a couple of threes from the corner, and played back and forth defense to get Cam Thomas away from the basketball. Right. When Okoro switched on him, the guy had problems. Okoro was a stopper, and 18 points. Thank God he did it, because we would never have won the basketball game without those 18 points. So, we have another game coming up tonight starting, at 7:30, I guess. And I'll be watching that, and I hope
Yeah.
you will too. Give this
I think
team
I will give it a chance. So we got Oklahoma tonight, and then we've got the Pacers
tomorrow,
tomorrow night.
right?
Both
Back to
in
back home,
both
back to back
in
home.
Gund Arena,
Yep.
whatever they called it, whatever they call it now.
So I have to predict my score.
Ted Stepien Arena.
I believe that the Browns are going to lose the game 24-13, but
Wow.
and I'm giving them credit. In so doing, I just don't see how they're going to score the ball
I
with PJ
can't.
Walker.
Yeah.
I just don't see how it happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me be incredibly
Let us be
surprised
wrong.
again.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Bronk, thanks for joining me. Thanks for everybody, and thanks to the guy in Rittman who recognized me.
Rittman.
That's yep.
Rittman. That's where we call BFE Egypt or BFE Ohio. Bumfuck Egypt, Ohio. That is the middle of nowhere. It
Yeah.
really is.
I go the back roads, man. When I'm looking for good produce and all that, I love finding places that are a little bit out of the way and away from the city, and more in the smaller areas,
Yeah,
the farm
you're
areas.
getting down sort of near Lodi. Have you been to the Lodi outlet mall thing?
It's
that's off
dead.
the freeway.
It's dead.
There's no stores in it anymore? It's been like 5 years since I've been down that way.
Oh my God. I was there. I actually got a couple pair of shoes at the SAS store there. And
yeah, there was like a Levi's, and there was a Hanes store, and there was like a food court. And
I'm telling you, 3/4 of the businesses are gone there. It is a ghost town.
My God.
Yeah, they have new ownership, and they're going to wipe it down. They're going to clear it out. I mean, it's
tear it down. Huh?
A sad thing.
Well, COVID must have killed that then, because the last time
I think the times of it was. You know what it reminded me of? It's located like the Coliseum at Richfield was.
Exactly. It exactly is.
There was going to be no growth pattern at that point in time that was going to save the area. People aren't going to rush to move to Lodi. That's just not going to happen. So
you know what? The last time I was there was an Amish family with their wagon, and they were selling handcrafted hand baskets, like right outside the entranceway going into the Lodi outlet mall. So there you go.
I mean, times change, and I think that outlet malls are still popular in areas that are populated, but the thrill of driving out to the middle of nowhere for an outlet strip center, it's just not there anymore.
Oh, that's sad. That depresses me. That's sad, because I was there in like either 2018 or 2016, and it was pretty vibrant,
Really? You know what it is now? There with the tumbling tumbleweeds.
Like a ghost town. This town.
Yeah.
Like a ghost town.
Yeah. Who sang that?
The Specials.
Very good. What was the Specials' other song?
Free Nelson Mandela was probably, and something about get a message to Rudy, or I don't know.
Rudy, a message to you, Rudy.
They're huge in England. Absolutely huge. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody, and let's hope the Browns can pull off, and let's go Cavaliers tonight.
Go Cavaliers.
We'll all be watching. And I wanted to also say, as the closing thing, that Rox and I have got the medical clearance.
Good.
We're going to be flying back to Florida on the 10th of November. So that is a Friday.
Oh, can I give a quick shout out? If Big Lurker is watching this, or watching this on the archive, it's that special time of the year where us in the UK and Europe turn our clocks back before America does. So everything's an hour early for us on Sunday, and for Moohead. So Moohead.
When is our turn the clock back thing?
Oh, it's another week. It's at least the following Saturday, if not the Saturday after that. So we have at least a week of early Moohead and early NFL. So it's my favorite week of the year, along with the ones in March. But this one's got basketball and NFL at the same time. It's brilliant.
So, we're going to be getting out of here November the 10th, flying in. We'll be back in the afternoon in Florida. So there'll be no Friday Moohead radio show.
No, Topaz.
Yeah, but I'll be back to do the halftime and post game show. I'll get my studio set up and all ready to rumble.
What's the weather from Dick Goddard? What's the weather like?
Okay.
The Woolly Bears.
I just wanted to talk about the weather because we had such a beautiful day today. A high of 74 degrees.
Fuck me.
And,
wow.
Yeah, and it was a wonderful, wonderful day. And now we're waiting on this shitstorm to arrive. And it's going to be here. And that on Wednesday,
wow,
there's the possibility of the first snow.
That's messed up, man.
So I would recommend to anybody like Mr. Moohead to get the fuck out of Dodge and get out before it snows, which I can't do, dick, because unfortunately,
he's dead, though. He can't get out either. So
yeah,
he's dead as well. So
get me out of here.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
All right, Bronk. Take care, and take care, everybody watching. We'll see you. This weekend.
See you in a brand new Kia.
halftime and post game. I'm not gonna do the pose. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on Sunday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastorheads. Good night.